Now, this fish and chips problem was a little bit silly, especially in the sense that it was so easily solved with just being a little bit sensible about it. But it turns out that this idea can actually be applied to lots of other situations as well, lots of other situations where we have common resources. So, as an example of this, think about cows and elephants. Cows and elephants are both animals that humans use for the goods that they provide, right? Cows provide a lot of useful stuff: beef, milk, leather, and several other products as well. Elephants, not nearly so much. People like to take their tusks for ivory. I guess there are some tribes that will eat elephant meat, but from what I understand, it's not a particularly valuable commodity. And so to that end, pound for pound, cows are worth way more than elephants. Cows provide lots and lots of useful stuff for us, elephants substantially less. And yet, cows are not endangered in any way, right? While elephants are. Well, now you've got a good reason for that. Cows are a private good. In almost every country around the world, cows are owned by private citizens. And if I own that cow, I have every incentive to take care of it because, well, I get to use that cow. I get to kill it when I choose to. But I'm not necessarily going to kill it just as soon as I can, because if I let it grow, it might be more valuable to me. Elephants, on the other hand, most places that they exist are not privately owned. They're common resources. And if nobody owns that, then nobody has much of an incentive to protect those elephants. And so poachers can come along and kill the elephants without people tending to interfere with them, because they're worried about getting killed themselves by the poachers, and they don't have much incentive to fight off those poachers because, well, the elephant isn't theirs to protect, right? If I'm not going to go out and risk my life to save an elephant that's not mine. Well, perhaps now you have an idea of how we could solve the elephant problem. We could privatize ownership of elephants. And in fact, there's certain countries that have done that. Zimbabwe, Namibia, Botswana, among other southern African nations, have done some experiments with private ownership of animals like elephants, of wild animals like elephants, and have even gone so far as to legalize sale of ivory, which sounds like it would be counterproductive, right? It sounds like then everybody would just go out and kill off all of those elephants because, well, now they own them, they're allowed to kill them, and they can sell that ivory. Sounds like a great thing to do. On the other hand, countries like Kenya have continued to ban private ownership of elephants. They've said, these elephants are collectively owned, they're owned by everyone within the country, and so no one has the right to go out and kill those elephants and take their ivory, etc. So what has happened to elephant stocks in these countries? Well, it turns out that the private ownership of elephants in countries like Zimbabwe and Botswana has resulted in those elephant populations rebounding, whereas in countries that have continued to have only collective ownership of those elephants, their elephant stocks have been falling. So again, this is suggesting that common resources are a problem, and converting them to private ownership may be a good solution.